Week 3 has passed us, and I am not happy. Listen, we started off great, getting 2 wins early with Clemson and the Georgia Tech under, and Oklahoma at Temple with Oklahoma smoking them. But then we lost our last 3 bets of the day with SMU massively disappointing and Duke proving they're frauds, and we went 2-3 on the day. But we've lived, we've learned. I know what we can do to make us better, and I know how to get us back on top. We are 5-6 on the season, and we are going to bounce back strong in week 4. So what are we going to do? We're going to button up our shirts. We're going to sip some coffee, and we're going to cook and win some fucking money. So what did we learn from week 3? 1, I am not betting on ACC teams not named Miami, Florida State, and I guess Cal now to win a game or cover a bet. Clemson's terrible. Granted, we didn't bet on them to win anything. We bet the under, but Clemson, terrible. Duke, frauds, dog shit. Don't want to ever look at them again. SMU, how the fuck do you score more points against Missouri State? So, ACC, we're staying away from them covering unless it's a Florida State or Miami or maybe Cal. Same with the Big 12, unless maybe you're Texas Tech. Those 2 conferences are just poison to betting. Poison to winning. So let's go to a conference that knows what they're doing. Let's go to the Big 10. Iowa at Rutgers. And there's just something beautiful about betting the under against Iowa. Let's look at their pacing. Iowa's 80th in the country in seconds per play, 55th in plays per game. Rutgers, you ask? Even worse, 118th seconds per play and barely any better at plays per game at 47th in the country. These 2 teams move like snails. Mark Gronkowski, the quarterback of Iowa, was brought in, and he was supposed to make this offense way better than we've seen in the past. He is struggling. He is not good. He has a 58.7% completion percentage, and he's averaging 4.9 yards per attempt. 4.9 yards per passing attempt. That is terrible. But on the other side of the ball, we still have a classic Iowa team. Defensively, they've only given up a total of 14 plays that have gone 10 or more yards. 10 yards isn't that big of a play, right? It's awesome, but it's not like a 30-yard play. It's a 10-yard play, only 14 total of them in 3 weeks. They have only given up 9 points per game offensively, and they're 18th in points per game or points per play, right? This defense is stout as always. Now, this Rutgers team has been much better this year compared to previous years. Their offense has been surging, but they haven't played anyone close to Iowa yet. Their defense, which is historically bad, has actually been very good this year. So I like the under. We've seen Iowa play an elite offense, or a much better offense at least, in Iowa State. Kept that game close. So Iowa at Rutgers under 46.5, play number 1. Next we have Purdue at Notre Dame, where we're going over 54.5. Now, you asked me a year ago, and I'm not even touching an over ever on Notre Dame. But this year's different, and this game is going to be very different. Purdue has scored 30-plus points in all 3 games. Yes, I understand they haven't played anyone like very good yet, but still, 30-plus points in all 3 of their games. Notre Dame, who's 0-2, have lost the first game 27-24, and the next game 41-40. As you can see, they're not really stopping the ball, but they are being able to score pretty well, right? If we look at offensive firepower, points per play, Purdue is 69th in the country, Notre Dame is 37th. So both teams are scoring well, especially Notre Dame. Estimated points per game, Purdue's at 66, Notre Dame's at 29th. So Purdue is an above average offensive team, Notre Dame is a top quarter offensive team. Then on the defensive side of the ball, Purdue has played pretty well, at 33rd in the country in points per play and 19th in the country at estimated opponents' points per game. But again, they haven't really played anyone to challenge that defense. Then Notre Dame is 107th in points per play on the defense side of the ball, and opponents' estimated points per game, they're 108th. Notre Dame's defense is just not good this year, and Purdue's offense is good enough to put points on their own, while Notre Dame's offense will put points up as well. So we're looking at over 54.5, Purdue at Notre Dame. At bet number 3, I have UNC at USCF, where UNC is the underdog, and we are taking them +7. Listen, I don't have any crazy advanced statistics or wild trends in this game. I got one for you, but overall, I am banking on the fact that I think UNC is just a better team than UCF, right? And I know I just said I'm done taking ACC teams to cover or win, but we're taking them against a Big 12 team who I also said I hate. I think Bill Belichick is starting to finally click a little bit. Bill Belichick is cooking. UNC has had 2 cleanup games after getting embarrassed in week 1 against a TCU team that is way better than UCF, obviously. In the last 2 games, they've averaged 30.5 points per game, and the defense has only given up 19 points, right? UCF have not yet played a good team. They haven't looked bad, but that's because they're playing bad teams. In their last 5 games against the ACC, they're 0-5 against the spread. Listen, can UCF win this game? Sure. I just don't think they win by more than a touchdown. UNC +7.5, they will cover this game. Our 4th official bet of the day, we have Kent State at Florida State, where we are taking over 56.5. Listen, Kent State's defense is just Swiss cheese. They're asking you to put points on them. They lost 62-14 versus Texas Tech, and then they gave up 31 points to Buffalo. Their defense is getting torched. Their opponent's points per play is 123rd in the country, and opponent's estimated points per game is 130th. Again, their defense is one of the worst in the country. And then on the other side of the ball, Castellanos is cooking. So Florida State's points per game at 31 and yards per game at 382. Their points per play is 36th in the country. Estimated points per game is 35th. These guys can score with anyone, and they're rested from last week. They had a bye. They're rested. They're going to come in, and they're going to want to just take care of business and dominate this game and put on a show in front of their home crowd. Kent State at Florida State will go over 56.5. And here's an additional thing I'm going to give you. A non-official bonus play. I'm not counting this if I win or lose, but I want to throw it out there. I think Florida State -45.5 is also a good play. Because again, I think this Florida State team just crushes these guys. I think they might hit the over by themselves. So I think a 45.5 is really possible. So not an official play, whether I win or lose it, I'm not counting it. But if you're interested, if you like my reasoning, go ahead and take it. Then at play number 5, we have James Madison at Liberty, where we are taking JMU 9.5. JMU's defense has been stout this year. Week 1, give me versus Weber State, but then they played Louisville, where up until the 3:31 mark in the 4th quarter, they only gave up 1 offensive touchdown. They gave up a defensive touchdown where, they had a mishap in the end zone, and then Isaac Brown took off for an 80-yard run. So overall, JMU's defense was stout against a very, very good Louisville team. Liberty's run defense is terrible. They're 130th in the nation. JMU averages 126 rushing yards per game. Not elite, but very good. And then if you remove their non-quarterback rushes, because it's been pretty bad from that standpoint, their running backs average 6.4 yards per rushing attempt. So their rushing game has been very elite, and I think they're going to come off their bye, and they're really going to be focused on just getting the ground game going, controlling the clock. Defense will be stout. Liberty lost to Jacksonville State and Bowling Green by 10 each. This isn't the typical one of the best smaller schools, Liberties, like we've seen in the past few years. This Liberty team is not that good. I think James Madison's crowd might overpopulate versus the Liberty crowd at that stadium. JMU -9.5. Then to finish off, we have the parlay. So for those of you guys that don't know, this is something I present as a non-official bet. I don't count it for or against my record. It is a parlay that I present where I show you the original line, but then I adjust it to basically as close to -250 as I can get. The reason I do this is that, yes, it lowers the overall upside some. If you add 5 legs to a parlay, it's already very risky and there's already good upside. So just make it a little safer, increase the likelihood of it happened, and you'll be able to win some money off of it. So you can feel free to mix and match whatever you want, adjust them as much as you want, make them even more safe if you want, make them less safe. This is an official play, just something I present to you. I think Maryland +10 to +16.5 is very playable. This Wisconsin team is not like old. They are very, very beatable. and I think Maryland can at least keep it a close game. Same with Syracuse at Clemson. I think Clemson does bounce back this weekend, but they are not going to blow out the Syracuse team. That even though they're not as good as they were last year, this Cuse team is still relevant, So if you put them up to about 23.5, I think it's very safe for them to cover at Clemson. Then we have Georgia State at Vanderbilt. And I know Vanderbilt has been the hot team, one of the fan favorites, but here's the thing. Yes, I think they will win, but they show up against big teams. They don't necessarily show up against these small teams and just blow someone out. I think they will go in and take care of business because they see the path for the college football playoffs. But I don't think they're going to blow out Georgia State by 30 plus. So if you move them to 33.5, I do think it is a safe cover. Then we have Washington at Washington State. Listen, Washington State's defense is terrible. I don't think this team is good at all. I think this Washington State should just score all over them and dominate this game. The reason, though, I think you should adjust it is because the rivalry impacts. We know what that can do. So I think 20 points is definitely reasonable for the Huskies. But I think if you knock it down to 12.5, it's a very safe cover. Put it in the parlay. Then we have BYU at ECU. ECU is 6.5 point underdogs. I bump them up to 13.5 point underdogs, and I love it. This ECU team is frisky. They compete. They're at home. This BYU team is not as good as they used to be. ECU can cover a almost 2 touchdown spread for sure. So ECU 13.5, Washington minus 12.5, Georgia State plus 33.5, Syracuse plus 23.5, Maryland plus 16.5. These are all bets that if you adjust them down, I really like them putting into the parlay. So those are my picks for week 4. We're going to get back on top. We're going to get a winning record after this week, and we are going to go make some money. Remember, bet responsibly. We're doing this to have fun. We're doing this to enjoy some random games we might not like in the first place. Don't use your bill money. Don't use your kids' lunch money. Bet responsibly. Have some fun. Go watch some football.